Welcome to Answers Unleashed, a talk show to help you reshape your brain with science and faith so you find the answers in front of you. Hi, I am your host, Olympia LePoint. Welcome to our 102nd podcast of Answers Unleashed. This particular episode is Science Predictions for the Future. Now, thank you so much for always tuning in to Answers Unleashed. And if you know, if you've been following us for the last several years, we used to do this radio show and podcast on a college campus. But of course, through the pandemic, everything shut down. And so what we're doing right now is giving you the podcast here from a home residence in Los Angeles so you can continue with learning about science and faith so you find the answers in front of you. Now, today's topic is about the future. The science future. Can you make predictions and can they be accurate? Well, today I'm going to share with us predictions that I have, Olympia LePoint has, about the future. And these are science predictions on what is going to happen. Now, no one knows the future. If anyone tells you they know the exact future, run, because no one knows the exact future. And there's mathematicians and scientists always trying to figure out what's going to happen. So in my book, my latest book, Answers Unleashed 2, The Science of Attracting What You Want, I talk about a method to jump into the future that you want using a method that I call quantum deciding. It is being able to look at patterns that is happening in real life situations and being able to see how the innovation is going to manifest. The great news is no matter what difficult things that we've been through for the last year and a half with the pandemic, we have the opportunity right now to create the innovation that will allow us to be successful, healthy, and great in all of our technologies in the future. But it's only if we notice the patterns from the past and actually create new methods for innovation. Now, there were two, before we go into what my predictions are, before we go into the science, I want you to know this. Scientists have forever been trying to figure out how the future is going to play out. At first, Albert Einstein was looking at how things in the future is going to impact us today. It was through his spooky interaction, if you will. It was his actually science called spooky interactions. It was called quantum entanglement. He was looking at if something is affected light years away, can that change what is happening right now? And is there a connection between the two? And he was able to find, yes, there is a connection. There is a quantum connection. As we investigate and unravel what's going on right now, we can connect to a future in which is already designed. Now, scientists also, mathematicians specifically, have always been using diagnostic approaches and reliability as well as prediction methods in statistics to determine what the chances are of certain events happening. We have many different events that can happen, but only one can really come to life. So with mathematics, scientists have always been trying to determine what most likely will happen. As well as there's in the most recent century, in the 1900s, late 1900s, as well as the early 2000s, there has been a group of scientists in Russia to look at the science of innovation. They look at the patterns of what chaotic things happen in society and how people make decisions for innovation to happen. One example is the printing press. Another example is the telephone. Another example is the invention of the internet. By looking at past patterns and also by using a branch of mathematics called chaos theory, scientists in Russia are using a method called TRIZ, which is a Russian acronym for being able to identify and predict innovation before it happens. So with my latest book, Answers Unleashed 2, The Science of Attracting What You Want, I introduce to us quantum deciding. And in that process, what we do is we look towards what has happened before in the past. We look forward to what we want. And we look at the present moment of the chaotic situations that we're experiencing in. and make decisions in this moment to actually go to where we want to go. So, with this type of thinking, I was able to do great things like help launch rockets with being able to see exactly how a rocket ship can be launched successfully. And I communicated what I found with the other engineers so we could create engineering mitigation patterns. So this process actually works. Now, what we're going to do is apply it to our personal lives, in which you're going to look at the rest of the podcast and upcoming episodes to find out, as well as we're going to predict. We're going to predict what most likely will happen in the future based on the past, based on what we want, and based on the chaos that we're experiencing right now, so we make decisions, effective decisions to get there. All right, so here are my predictions, and this is from looking at the different patterns that are happening. So the first prediction I have, and it's actually written here on these papers in front of me, but I'm going to try to go off of my memory so it can be really clear for you. The first prediction I have is that climate change is going to majorly change the way that we operate within the next 5 years. Climate change. Now, you may be wondering what climate change is, and I'm going to tell you what my predictions are with this particular aspect. Climate change is how our climate literally will be altered in several different ways, and what contributes to being altered is what goes into the study of climate change. Climate change can be what happens inside of the earth, basically. How, if you know anything about how our earth is structured, we have an liquid iron core that rotates and moves and allows our entire earth to rotate. We have shifts in the ground that changes based on water level in interior to the earth. Those water levels change, and it changes and shifts different continents, and it also shifts the way that land operates. We also have climate change on our upper atmosphere, how gases are changing and how it's trapping in and also removing different type of solar rays and different type of UV lights and rays that are coming in. So we also have an aspect of climate change on what comes in from the universe into the Earth system. These are all things that we need to be concerned about climate change. And so with those aspects of climate change, we more than likely are going to see changes. And this is where this is my predictions coming up. If we look at the past, California, as well as other states, Nevada and Arizona in the United States, are experiencing severe drought. So there's a need to find water and preserve water and reestablish water in the different areas. And it's not just the United States, it's other places that was normally filled with water. So what I actually see in the future is people finding ways to be able to use the ocean water and filtrate it, so to take the salt water out, and creating major water highways. So different parts of the continent has ocean water that can feed the plants as well as feed the population. Now, this is a huge feat. There's nothing that has been experiencing that type of large infrastructure before. And I see with climate change, that type of technology is actually going to come about. We will more than likely see some sort of large water transportation system from the ocean into different parts of land. And so that's something I see. Also with climate change, we have been experiencing in the past and the current time big sheets of ice from the northern and southern poles breaking off and melting and going into the ocean. And that is causing a rise in ocean levels. Now, we're more than likely, unfortunately, going to see possibly flooding in the different areas of the coastlines everywhere across the world because there's more water rising, and some coastal systems are not equipped to be able to handle the pressure of that water. So we're going to more than likely see water being diverted in great systems that are going to be produced by engineers. So that's what I see coming up in the next several years, is a way to be able to use the ocean water in a way that's actually going to be helpful. And we will see climate change issues. We will see heightened tornadoes and hurricanes and things like that because we have more energy in the air. Also, what I see with climate change is there's going to be more than likely technology that people are going to build and create, that people can wear to protect themselves in the sun, and cooling devices embedded within clothing. There is a need right now to make sure to keep populations hydrated and populations from overheating. So we more than likely will see in the next couple of years major clothing designers and engineers teaming together to create type of body wear that's going to help people sustain the different type of climate changes that we're going to experience here on Earth. And that's exciting because there's opportunities in front of us to be able to preserve life. All right, let's see what's next. Um, there's also there's coming up the quantum internet. All right, here we go. Now let's look at the past. Recently, in October and December of 2020, just this last year, and we're in 2021 right now, June 2021. Just recently, NASA was able to uh, define and successfully execute long distance teleportation. Now, you're wondering, what is that? I know it sounds like a sci fi type of situation, but what long distance teleportation is, able to transport information from one location to another long distance location and have the information be completely intact. And the reason why there's this push and this understanding of how to use this long distance quantum communication is because it keeps data and information secure. Now, everything that is happening within the healthcare, the banking, with DNA technology, with all sorts of things that we look at, that data has to be secure and it is held on servers. And when it transfers to different places, that data must be secure. So, with the understanding of the quantum teleportation and with this new technology, we are going to more than likely see within the next 3 years, I give it 3 years, we're going to see the quantum internet. Now, what does that mean? Quantum internet is going to be a new internet system. Okay, there was a little bit of technical challenge there. If you more than likely saw me go, oh no, and look over at the screen, it's because my screen froze. But we're back. All right. So if you are interested in what this quantum internet is going to be, this quantum internet is so funny. This I just thought about this. My computer froze up when I was talking about quantum internet and how we're going to have a faster internet system. How ironic. But the quantum internet is going to be a super fast way to travel information for far distances, and it will be accurate. And it will be a completely new type of quantum computing system. Now, there's going to be a whole branch of technology introduced from this. There's going to be quantum cables, quantum connections, quantum. They're not going to be called quantum modems, but they're going to be quantum something. There are going to be ways for people to get quantum internet. That's going to be like the technology, I say, within the next 3 years. Also, with that quantum internet, I predict, this is Olympia LePoint predicting this, I predict that there most likely will be quantum currency. Now, let me break that down for us. Right now, we have a couple of different forms of currency. We have physical currency, in which we use when we go to places and we pay for things. We have digital currency. This is what we use on credit cards. This is what we call up and get authorized for before we have purchases. Some people have cryptocurrency and types of currencies in which it requires a certain access key to be able to use it and transfer it. And there's a whole system with that in itself. But what we're more than likely going to see are governments creating quantum currency. Now, this quantum currency will be secured and backed by different governments across the world on exchanging currency and keeping it secure and keeping it with the original owner. Oh, there are always potential for hackings and people losing their passwords with cryptocurrencies and all sorts of issues regarding all sorts of currencies. And I foresee quantum currencies as a way of doing business in multiple different places with it being secure. So this is something that we have an opportunity to look forward to. All right. What we're also going to see is a population boom with technology. And let me explain this. This is the next prediction. We're going to see a population boom with technology. Currently, right now, the people who have been impacted with their education greatly during this pandemic are people from the ages of 12 to 18 who've had to learn at home on the internet from their school when schools closed down. Now, at that age, when people are learning information, they are they're very smart and they build a network in their brain to be able to retain long-term information and connect things together in a very powerful way. And this is used later on with their executive brain when it's built and developed at the age of 25. So the ages from 12 to 18 right now, all the skills for the people in those age range they're creating a skill base of technology that's literally going to transform the way that we use technology across the world. And these are going to be the technology leaders within the next, I'd say, 7 years. Within the next 7 years, these individuals will be creating breakthrough technologies because their learning was based on technology and that was their way of survival. Now, those of us that had already gone through school, already had our degrees, already adult, did not have the same type of psychological impact as the young kids in this group. So we're going to see them, this age range from 12 to 18, really taking their information, their knowledge, their growth experience, and their trauma, if you will, and using it in a way in which is going to create a technology boom that we have never seen before, ever. So I look forward to that great day in which we're going to see a new generation of people creating the technology in which is going to allow there to be longer life here on Earth. And we will be finding out what that is together. All right, let's look at another one. All right. Here's a good one. Artificial intelligence and health. All right. We've seen so far in the pandemic that some people really respond well to some medications and some people don't. And it's still a puzzle on why some medications work in some cases, why some medications don't work in some cases. And we're also seeing that within the discovery of different vaccines as well. Some vaccines last, have different structures that will last a long time, and some vaccines have a different structure, so they work differently. We're seeing a different way that things are working. I foresee that artificial intelligence is going to map out ways for doctors to create medicines in a profound way. Let me explain this a little bit deeper. Right now, there's different type of vaccines that are out. Some deal with mRNA technology, some deal with vector technology, and there's different other ones that are coming out. And they have different platforms on how to distribute the vaccine in the human body, and everybody's human body is different. And we do have 99% of our human genetic code is the same, no matter if you're black, white, Asian, Latino, it doesn't matter. 99% 99.9% of our genome is identical. However, we do have intricate details and differences to our nervous system. And with that in mind, I foresee there being different platforms of how both different platforms within medications and different platforms within vaccines that will be used to distribute it across the body and help people when they are taking it. And there's going to be some sort of artificial intelligence analysis to figure out what primarily will work in each human system. Now, things in which we are going to see is, if I can relate it to anything, you know how you have an Apple computer or a PC computer? Uh, they have a different operating system. So we have a different platform, and based on that different platform, you have different apps and you have different programs, and they can be equivalent programs, but they have to be built for that platform. Similar thing to a phone. You have a, let's say you have an iPhone and then you have a Droid. So you have two different platforms on these phones. And you have the same app, but the app has to be developed differently based on the platform. Well, I see the same thing happening for vaccines and drugs. We will have more than likely one platform for a type of distributing information with distributing drugs or vaccines within the body, and then we will have another platform, and that platform will be able to create vaccines. So this pandemic that we've experienced is really an opportunity for major innovation to come forth with how vaccines and drugs are can be created and distributed within a universal platform, and that platform with this artificial intelligence will be able to analyze the blood and analyze information within the human body to see how effective different type of treatments are. So I'm excited to see that. I really feel that within the next maybe 2 years, we're going to see some major developments with how the artificial intelligence is going to give information in a rapid way that will take some of the guesswork out of medical treatments. And you never know. This type of technology may help people live until being well past 100, maybe 120 or 130. Who knows? So we're going to be excited to see this type of technology as it unrolls. All right. What else are we going to see? Is that it? I'm looking at my notes here. All right. All right. One last thing. Do-do-do. Just like we have regulations that look at the nuclear type of development, we have like international regulations that look at which countries create nuclear devices, what countries are has nuclear elements. You know how there's that type of overall type of understanding of what country has what. That same approach, I think, is going to be extended in a way that is going to include health and vaccines. That we have the World Health Organization, which is a great opportunity and great organization that oversees the health of people. But we're going to see additional regulations on how certain type of um, infectious diseases are housed, how they are kept safe. And that's going to be the same thing with what comes from space. We have a lot of people, we have a lot of countries looking at different type of space adventures, going to Mars, going to the moon, taking stuff off of asteroids. Well, all that information is housed. And so from whether it be from infectious diseases to organisms from out of this planet, we're going to be looking at streamlined regulations that will be active across the planet on how to keep people safe and how to house information in the correct way and house specimens in the correct way so it does not endanger people, but rather it aids in our understanding of how things operate. So I truly believe that in the next year, we're going to see new global regulations on how certain type of specimens are kept safe. so humanity can continue to live and thrive in this ever changing world. All right, so this was my science predictions so far. I had to jump into the future to see those type of things based on those past events. And I really hope that you always remember that no matter what happens, there's always a good future in front of you, only if you know how to decide for it. Until next time, find us here on AnswersUnleashed.com. Always check out our podcast at AnswersUnleashed.com/podcast. Find me on Facebook under Olympia LePoint and Instagram under Olympia LePoint, LinkedIn under Olympia LePoint. And always you can shoot us an email through answersunleashed.com, and you're always welcome to call us at 888-88-ANSWERS. I love talking with you. I love sharing information with you, and thank you for being online with us as we take our Answers Unleashed podcast to you directly. And until next time, I always hope this information gives you science and faith so you find the answers that are in front of you. I am Olympia LePoint, and I'll see you next time.